Hello, this is Dennis Wilcox. I'm Professor Emeritus of Public Relations at San Jose State University and the author of several books in public relations, including Public Relations Strategies and Tactics, Think PR, and Public Relations Media and Writing Tactics. Today, I'd like to spend a few minutes talking with you about a concept that I've been tracking for a number of years, and that's the idea of brand journalism, which is also known as content marketing. Both are the result of a media revolution that occurred some time ago. And as we all know, the internet and social media has made every individual and organization publisher and distributor of their own content in a variety of formats and outlets. The term brand journalism is used by public relations professionals because there is a greater emphasis on journalistic writing and less emphasis on selling products and services. The focus is on what's relevant, informative, and interesting to the consumer in a way that it engages them with the organization, its products, and services. An article in Public Relations Tactics by Ryan Zuck, a freelance writer, makes the point. Many organizations are using strategic brand journalism and content marketing to create news and educational material that benefits the audience, rather than purely promotional advertisements. In many ways, brand journalism is more authentic and it's also more credible. It's a form of more critical than perhaps ads, routine news releases, and official statements. Stories in a journalistic style are more readable, they're more informative, and they're more entertaining, so they are more effective in engaging the audience with the organization and its brand. One aspect of such agreement is a study by Harris Interactive that found 75% of consumers click on related links at the bottom of an article for more information. In sum, good content or stories creates more brand loyalists than anything else. Marketing professionals prefer to use the term content marketing instead of brand journalism. They have concluded that paid media, such as advertising, has lost much of its effectiveness in the digital age. The statistics from various survey firms confirm this. 80% of business decision makers prefer to get company information in a series of articles instead of an ad. And 70% of consumers prefer getting to know the company through articles rather than ads. Content marketing produces 3 times more leads than paid advertising. And that's something impressive. In other words, content marketing is not a shallow advertisement. It's not a blatant self-promotion or attempt to trick readers. First and foremost, it has to be about great content. It's writing a story that people want to email to a friend. It's a stunning infographic that breaks down a complex idea or drives home a jaw-breaking statistic that your organization happens to know. It's a video interview featuring an expert who gives honest answers to interesting questions. Although the terms brand journalism and content marketing are the new buzzwords today, the concept isn't really new. Public relations professionals in particular have been creating content and telling stories for years. What is new, however, is that the old system of using traditional media, newspapers, magazines, radio, television, all to distribute their content messages is no longer the dominant system in the digital age. The revolution of the internet and the pervasive use of social media mean that organizations, more than ever, are less reliant on traditional media and are rapidly embracing digital media as the most effective distributor of content and information to larger and more targeted audiences. The internet and social media offer a number of advantages for brand journalism and content marketing. A story in a newspaper or TV program appears only once. Stories posted on a digital site can be archived and instantly searchable. A story on an organization's website can be easily shared through social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest. Online stories can embed hyperlinks to more information and immediately send a reader directly to an organization's home page or even a page to buy a product. Print is one-dimensional, but perhaps a photo. A story online can also include a video, a gallery of photos, a slideshow, and even a colorful infographic. The concept of a story being shared is particularly relevant, I think. Persuasion theory tells us that the individuals pay the most attention and give the most credibility to content that comes from quote-unquote people like me. In other words, an important concept of brand journalism, or content marketing if you prefer, is that information is so informative and entertaining that the story is amplified by individuals sharing the content with family and friends. One study, for example, found that 70% of Facebook users access sites via links shared by friends and family. The concept of sharing also relates to tapping into a larger audience that any traditional media can provide. And Red Bull is a good example. It has a strong content-oriented website, formatted as a magazine with stories that appeal to its major demographic, young people with active lifestyles such as surfing, skiing, and extreme sports. It has 37 million Facebook fans, almost 1 million followers on Twitter, which is quite outstanding. Indeed, the most frequently used platform in brand journalism and content marketing is a website that today's savvy organizations have updated and modernized to practically become virtual magazines. Coca-Cola, probably the most recognized brand in the world, recently revamped its corporate webpage to reflect the new mantra of brand journalism. Its homepage is a colorful, vital virtual magazine with a variety of articles. Some articles posted on a recent day were 1, new designs for office desk, 2, a review of a book on big data, how to get through your to-do list in terms of productivity, and 4, a behind-the-scenes look at a new Coke product. In addition, there were articles by various experts on topics of current interest. There's always a daily question for readers and a bar graph showing the vote. Also on the page are colorful boxes that inform the reader that Coke has 130 different products, gets 1.3 million tweets per quarter, and is in 200 nations and territories. Another site that uses the website very effectively is Home Depot. It's a hardware store and a building supply chain, so it has a number of videos on its website on how to repair things around the house, such as a toilet or install cabinets in a kitchen. These instructive videos, of course, drive a lot of sales because a lot of amateurs still have to know how to do it through looking at a video. A second platform that can be used is the organization's blog. Giant retailer Target Stores has a blog titled A Bullseye View that provides stories on recipes, fashion tips, and flat height lifestyles. On a recent day, there were stories with photos and videos about Target employees in Canada distributing 10,000 reusable bags during Earth Month, or how to host a south of the border party, and sponsorship of the Billboard Latin Music Awards. All these are building loyalty to the organization and identity to the organization in terms of people enjoying the content. They're not being sold anything, but that through these articles, they are developing loyalty to a brand, which is important. A third site for brand journalism is online newsroom of an organization's website. An online newsroom is the foundation of brand journalism. Organizations should populate newsrooms with compelling stories, blogs, and visuals that go beyond a brand's concerns to cover broad perspectives about industry. The concept is to change the brand's news function from an operation that writes and pitches news releases to one that produces content across all formats and builds on topics where the brand wants to become a thought leader among consumers and its competitors in the field. Nokia, for example, leveraged its series of videos about the music scene in several American cities for ads called paid media, YouTube, shared media, an app of curated playlists for smartphones, owned media, and reviews and trade publications, which included earned media. So consequently, Nokia and others try to use all four ways. They use paid, they use owned, they use earned, and they use shared. And this is how oftentimes media is divided up. The fourth approach, of course, is sponsorship of news content in media outlets that accept payments to publish, post, or broadcast what is usually portrayed as a news story. Special insert sections about autos and real estate in the daily newspaper usually are sponsored. Online sites such as Mashable and TechCrunch also accept payment in return for writing stories that are circulated as staff written. So oftentimes these are staff written by public relations staff. Sometimes the publication does it. But the main thing is that they're listed as under some heading as sponsored. Here are some tips about creating good content as we finish up today. Some of the tips are: do some strategic thinking about how the organization wants to brand itself and how it can illustrate its core values and culture. Asset what your organization knows about what's worth sharing with the world. Select your most interesting stories and tell them well. Allocate sufficient time, staff, and money to produce quality stories that interest and entertain people. Brand journalism is a team effort. You need excellent writers, videographers, graphics personnel, and producers that create content across multiple platforms. Produce content that answers customer questions and helps them in their daily lives. Write stories about how organizations' products and services are being used in interesting ways by actual consumers. Leverage and repackage stories from multiple channels, which you've already talked about. Change website content daily to get customer return. Make websites colorful and highly visual. Use photos, video, infographics to tell a story. Stories should reflect expertise. Use credible sources and even outside experts. And know journalistic principles. Many former journalists are hired by organizations because of their expertise in storytelling. So look at all these in terms of what brand journalism can do for you and how you can use it for your organization. It's an important and powerful tool. So with that, I'm going to bid adieu. Thank you for listening, and here's to you, and have a happy day.